It's on Hakeem Jeffries not to get distracted by that. We know Donald Trump is a racist. This is like the first time that the majority of the American public is even being introduced to Hakeem Jeffries. I know that might be depressing to some people, but what he's even doing as the new leader of the Democrats in the House. And he is taking the bait and allowing the sideshow to become the conversation when he should take a page out of Zoran Mamdani's playbook, where every time there is a racist personal slight that's directed towards him, he turns the conversation into what he's going to do for New Yorkers. And Jeffries is making it about himself in this way that seems so archaic to me and very much like the Democratic Party of, say, 2010. We're done with this like liberal celebrity individualism stuff.
Meanwhile,
called the Democrats the party of, quote, hate, evil, and Satan. Is the president someone you still feel like you can negotiate with? Do you have that relationship with him?
Well, that behavior is outrageous, it's unhinged, it's unreasonable, and it speaks for itself. The American people deserve better than lies, than attacks, than deep fake videos, and the president spending all of his time on the golf course. We need serious leadership. And we will continue to make clear, Leader Schumer, myself, that we will sit down anytime, any place with anyone to address this issue with.
Boy. So we got to talk about Democrat leadership, particularly Hakeem Jeffries, a.k.a. Discount Obama, a.k.a. Timo Obama, a.k.a. Dollar Store Obama, Dollar General Obama. Knockoff Obama, no Reds Obama, no swag Obama. This guy's a nobody without Obama. This guy, probably the lamest politician I've ever seen in my life, okay? And he continues to blame Republicans and Trump for what clearly and obviously is a Democrat Party shutdown, right? And here's the crazy part about it. Democrats are pretending that they're doing this shutdown to fight for health care for all people, right? Including illegals, right? They want to fight for healthcare for illegals. But the truth is that it's about more than that, right? It's about the fact that Democrat leadership knows that the base, right, their voters, their base of radicals, think that the leadership is weak. And they're right, the leadership is weak. They're just weak for the wrong reasons, right? Democrats are weak because they refuse to work with Trump where it makes sense, right? What they're doing right now, they believe is a show of strength, but is only a show of strength to the far left, who no matter what they do, right, no matter what Hakeem Jeffries does, no matter what Chuck Schumer does, doesn't matter. They're going to be challenged and probably primaried, okay, successfully primaried by some Marxists. That's what's going to happen, right? The far left is going to eventually take over the Democrat Party, okay? It's going to happen to Schumer. AOC challenges him. He's done, okay? Hakeem, they're going to find somebody to take him on. They're done, right? They're done. So again, you know, this effort here from the Democrat establishment to blame this shutdown on Republicans really isn't working out for them, right? Even the mainstream liberal media, Kristen Welker on NBC, who again is very friendly towards the left, even she had to call out Hakeem Jeffries with his own words about the hypocrisy of Democrats now trying to blame Republicans for a shutdown that in the past they did not support. And in the past, they basically supported the exact same thing that they're opposed to now. Take a look.
But let me ask you, because you say this is a Republican shutdown, but it's Democratic senators who are withholding their votes on what is called a clean resolution. That means no strings attached, which is something, quite frankly, Leader, that you and other Democrats have advocated for in the past. Take a look.
You do not use the threat of shutting down government to try to advance your policy agenda.
First thing that the House has to do is pass a clean 6-week CR.
A continuing resolution that is at the fiscal year 2023 levels is the only way forward.
Why not fund the government and debate extending Obamacare tax credits after the fact? They don't expire till the end of the year.
Well, what we've called for is a bipartisan negotiation where Democrats and Republicans can sit down in good faith, reopen the government, pass a spending bill that actually improves the quality of life of the American people.
Yeah, so when the liberal media is confronting Democrats with their own words, you know it's bad, right? You know it's really bad, okay? Democrats really believe that it is a smart move for them to shut down the government because they are demanding that Republicans undo a major piece of legislation that they just passed And that would essentially result in trillions more in spending. Trillions more in spending. That's what Democrats are demanding Republicans do. Republicans are not going to do it. Okay? It's a non-starter. The Obamacare tax credits, apparently Republicans are open to some negotiations, but honestly, I don't think that they should be open to any negotiations because Democrats told us that the shutdown is not to be used for these type of agenda items. Now, all of a sudden, they want to use it, and they're demanding things that we're just not going to do, right? We're just not going to do. And hey, the longer the government stays shut down, the longer it gives the Trump administration, the executive branch, to carry out more of our agenda items, right? Like, you know, making the workforce more efficient, right? More layoffs that Democrats will be boohoo-wine and crying about. So listen, you know, again, I personally think that this is going to backfire on Democrats. Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, like, they're not going to make it, right? They're not going to make it. Like, they're going to get primary. Chuck Schumer definitely, he's done. Chuck Schumer is done, right? This is for nothing. Democrats are letting the far left take over their party. The far left is leading this shutdown. Like, this is an AOC-sponsored shutdown.
The Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson of Louisiana. Mr. Speaker, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here in person. Let's talk about your latest move. You announced this week that the House will not be in session until the government reopens, but there are still things that you could be doing. There are appropriations bills that you could be working on. There's a new Democratic Congresswoman who still needs to be sworn in. Isn't there still critical work that you could be doing on behalf of the American public?
We're doing that critical work. Let me just start by saying I listened to my friend Hakeem there, and when we used to do debate competitions in high school, they taught us to watch out for the red herring. The red herring is a distraction. Literally everything my friend just said there was unnecessary, because what he's trying to talk about is a December funding issue, the health care provision, some of these Obamacare subsidies that expire December 31st. He is looking over entirely the fact that we have to keep the government open in order to have those bipartisan debates and discussions that he just referenced. The simple CR that we passed in the House more than 2 weeks ago does exactly that. It is a clean CR. It's only 24 pages in length. It's the simplest thing that's ever been done, and it's exactly what Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries and all the rest of them said must be done. You saw the tape. We could roll that tape for hours, all of them saying this passionately as recently as earlier this year, that we had to keep the government open in order to do our job.
There is, Speaker, still critical work, though. And as you know, many Democrats have looked at your move. They say the House is not in session because you don't want to swear in this newly elected senator, the Democratic Congresswoman from Arizona, who would be a critical vote to releasing the Epstein files. How do you respond?
It's totally absurd.
Charge?
This has nothing to do with that. It's another red herring. The reason the government is closed is because Chuck Schumer and 43 of his Democrat colleagues in the Senate have decided now to vote multiple times to keep the government closed. We need them to turn the lights back on so that everyone can do their work. The House did our work. We passed a bipartisan, clean, continuing resolution to keep the government open. And what did Chuck Schumer send back in response? His counterproposal would add $1.5 trillion in new spending for a simple 7-week stopgap funding measure to keep the government open so all these appropriations bills can be finished. And they want to claw back $50 billion that we put in for rural hospitals to prop them up. They're not serious. This is not a serious negotiation. They're doing this to get political cover because Chuck Schumer is afraid that he won't win his next reelection bid to the Senate because he's going to be challenged by a Marxist in New York because that's the new popular thing out there.
Well,
Ding, 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 ding. Hey, I got to say, I think Mike Johnson is correct on a vast majority of the statements made. Okay, he correctly lays out that, again, this is about Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer trying to save themselves, trying to pander to extremists. That's what they're doing. And that's the problem with the Democrat Party. They're in bed with extremists. And being in bed with extremists always backfires. It backfires, okay? This is why I don't get in bed with extremists. Right? Because it's just not good. Okay? It's just not good. You have to understand that they may think that, oh, well, this helps us rally the base. Okay, this gets, us mobilized, whatever. But the only thing that mobilization is going to do is that it's just going to inspire them to start primarying more Democrats. That's how it's going to backfire, right? Let's say that this is actually successful, right? And for whatever reason, this fires up the Democrat Party base, the progressive base, to go out and start voting, right? They're not going to vote for the Hakeem Jeffries and the Chuck Schumers. They're going to be voting for more radical lunatics, right? They're going to be voting for more leftists who are going to be primarying more moderate Democrats that can actually win in swing districts. The leftists don't care. They're going to try to push socialists in every district that they can. They're going to be raising more money. They're going to be organizing, and they're going to be organizing against Democrats. It's the Hakeem Jeffries, the Chuck Schumers of the world. That's what they're going to do. So even if this works, it doesn't help Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer keep their jobs. It doesn't help them. It actually hurts them. What Democrats should be trying to do is that they should be trying to reach the middle. They should be trying to fire up the middle, right? They should be showing the middle, hey, we can work with the Trump administration, right? We will deport the illegals. We will stop crime, right? We'll fight crime. We'll acknowledge reality. We will support the president when it comes to his effort to bring peace to the Middle East. Like, for example, Hakeem Jeffries, in that interview with Kristen Welker, listen to how he answered this question when asked about President Trump's current peace negotiations with Hamas and Israel. Listen to his response when the reporter asked him, do you support Trump's peace plan? Take a look.
Hamas saying that it will, in fact, turn over the hostages. Leader Jeffries, let me ask you, do you support President Trump's 20-point peace proposal?
Well, I support a path toward a just and lasting peace, and that needs to involve making sure that every single hostage and the remains of those hostages still in Gaza are released immediately. Of course, we need to surge humanitarian assistance into Gaza so we can alleviate the immense suffering of Palestinian civilians who have been in harm's way through no fault of their own in a theater of war. And of course, we need to make sure that Hamas lays down its arms and that we have a governance structure that is put into place that allows for normalized relations between the Palestinian people and Israel.
This is exactly what I'm talking about. Kristen Welker asked Hakeem Jeffries, do you support President Trump's 20-point peace plan? Hakeem Jeffries goes on to say, well, I support a path towards, peace or whatever. Goes on to say basically everything that is in the Trump peace plan, right? Without saying that he supports the Trump peace plan, because he doesn't want to say that, hey, what President Trump is doing is good, right? That I agree with him. I agree with what he's doing. And I'm hoping that President Trump can broker peace. Instead of just giving credit where credit is due. Because he agrees, right? At least that's what he says. He agrees. Why don't you say I agree? I agree with the president. The president's doing a good thing. That might help you with negotiations, my guy. Right? You ever tried that, right? You ever tried, trying to sweeten up your opponent, right? You ever try honey, right? Try working with the president. Yeah, he's doing a great job, right? Like, what do you lose politically, right? Seriously, like, what do you lose politically as a Democrat for saying, I support President Trump's efforts to achieve peace in the Middle East, right? What do you lose? What do you lose? But again, this guy can't even say that. So, I think that as long as Democrats are capitulating to the far left, right, as long as they're doing the dirty work of the far left, their party is lost. These radicals, they're going to take over no matter what Hakeem and Chuck Schumer do. And at this point, they're just trying to get more time, right? They're vying for more time, but they're on borrowed time with the far left. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.